First, we don't want to let these things go. I mean, letting things go only builds the frustration in you. We have to embrace the idea that these conversations have to happen. You can't expect something to change if the person who needs to change doesn't know it needs to change. Number one, let's frame it in your mind. What is the outcome you're looking for here? Now, let's also remember that it might not just be their issue or their behavior. Let's admit that quite often our behaviors can spur reactions in our coworkers. So being open-minded about it and thinking about it and listening carefully to what the other person is telling you can oftentimes help you to realize that the conversation needs to go a certain direction. And you always want to know what your outcome is going to be. You always want to come back to this idea of creating a better relationship, a better working environment for you and for your coworker. So there are a few things that we need to remember, though, when we're having these conversations. And the first is that, and this may be the most difficult part, we have to tolerate mistakes. People make errors. None of us are perfect. And very often, the mistake that was made could be a very honest mistake. And so let's give the benefit of the doubt to our coworker and say, you know what, this happened. What can we do to avoid it next time? So beyond tolerating mistakes, what else can we do? Let's be fair about it. Let's understand, too, that most people aren't walking into the newsroom to make your life miserable today. They're just not. They may not know that there's an issue here, and you're doing them the favor of having a conversation about it. So let's be fair about it, and let's make sure that they understand you're trying to be fair. Very important. Let's try to approach correcting errors or correcting behaviors from a positive side. Let's tell people what we'd like to get from them, as opposed to focusing only on the things they've done wrong. So let's tell them what we want them to do, not what we want them to stop doing. Finally, let's think about maybe the most important part of the conversation, and that is maintaining your own emotional control. Emotion is an incredibly dangerous thing because suddenly emotion becomes personal. It becomes personal to you. And when it's personal to you, there's this sense that you want to win. And then it's not just a conversation between two people where you're trying to deal with an issue. Then it becomes a battle, an engagement, where there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. There can't be a winner and a loser in these conversations. There has to be a coming together and an understanding. And when emotions take over, that is not possible. So let's be very self-aware. Make sure you're very self-aware of your own emotions. And if you feel yourself getting angry, if you feel yourself perhaps going over the top, if you feel yourself getting emotional, the best thing to do is to say, you know what, let's take this offline for a second. We need to meet at another time. Let me go in and think about what we're talking about, and let's come back and finish this conversation at a later date. At the end of the day, once you finish, one of the things that I believe is really important is to never leave a conversation without having some follow-up prepared, some kind of date and time that you can meet and have the conversation again. So as we approach this conversation, we want to do a couple of things. We want to maintain our emotional control, first and foremost. We want to be very specific about what we're talking about and not diverge into other issues. Let's pick the issue, let's talk about it. And third, let's make sure that we understand where it is we want to end up. I mean, in the end, you're doing that coworker a favor by having a conversation about how they can do their jobs better and how maybe they can make the newsroom a better place as well.